Good.
I have a follow-up question.
Yes. Follow-up questions are not allowed. No. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, on that note, I keep goats in the city and chickens, and I totally agree with you on the chicken front, but sometimes I think that keeping goats in the city is maybe a little inefficient because of the work that it takes to keep only a few, and also you have to use a lot of inputs to feed them the grain you need to feed them. So I'm wondering what your opinion on urban livestock, like bigger urban livestock, is.
Yeah, it's a great question, and generally I think the bigger urban livestock is probably, you're exactly right, it's probably beyond a point of efficiency. That's what the environs are for. That's what bigger areas are for. I mean, if you travel down to well, go any place in the world in a developing country. I was down in Mexico speaking, and their city parks, which are nice big city parks, they don't have big bat wing mowing machines out here mowing city parks. They've got 6 guys in the city that have an agreement to run their milk cow there. They tether them, move them every day, and they live nearby, somebody nearby the park, and they mow the park with a milk cow. In fact, they're interstates. They don't mow them with mechanical mowers. You drive down along the road in the evening, and you see all the farmers coming out, and they're taking their tethered cow, and they move the stake another, tomorrow, and this is the way they mow their roadsides. But yeah, I think probably chickens and rabbits. Rabbits are an excellent herb. You sell rabbit feed?
We sell rabbit feed, and we hope to someday sell meat rabbits as well.
Good, good. Yeah. We raise a lot of rabbits. Our son started that years ago, and you can make a very simple. That'll be your next enterprise. Now we make portable pastured rabbit shelters. They need a slatted floor because rabbits can dig, and a chicken. If a chicken gets out, you can kind of run her down. But if a rabbit gets out, it's bye-bye. Yeah, it's sending the 6-year-old kids out there to wait for 24 hours with a little box with a prop stick and a carrot in it. Maybe he'll come back, maybe he won't. Rabbits work real well because they're quiet and they're very, very small. I think as soon as you move up into sheep, goats, cow, llama, alpaca, buffalo, ostrich, you're probably getting bigger than a reality urban situation. And remember, you talk about feeding feed to the goats. Goats are browsers, and it's really not good for their digestion to be eating a lot of grain like it is for a cow. And so there again we have interdependence, but it's one thing for Portland to be interdependent with its environs for the ruminants and the larger stock, as opposed to being dependent on a feedlot in Iowa for those kinds of things. Yeah. So I mean, just because you're not doing it yourself or right here in this neighborhood doesn't mean it can't be ecologically and energy efficient and helpful for the world, as long as it's maintained relatively close. Good question. Other comments, questions, discussion? Yes.
I have a question. It's sort of brought up in Food Inc. But
Food Inc. What's that?
Yeah. He's in Food Inc. If you haven't seen it. The real man in there who's kind of the organic and Walmart guy.
Stonyfield. Yeah.
So kind of the argument of, I want to be an activist, so I'm going to have my little DIY thing, and I'm going to stay in my little world and do it, but I'm going to do it really well and be authentic, versus trying to go through mainstream avenues such as TV, but Walmart can be the example. Kind of what's your opinion of, not necessarily him in particular, but those two sometimes clashing?
Oh, they very much clash. I mean, that's why we're not in Whole Foods. We've tried Whole Foods and it was impossible. I've tried supermarkets, impossible. I say impossible for me. I mean, in other words, here's the thing. You have to so compromise and adulterate, at least for me. I don't want sexy plastic egg cartons, thank you. I want plain paper pulp egg cartons, you know what I'm saying? And if your marketing venue requires sexy petroleum plastic egg cartons to sell your eggs, you got to change your customers. Don't make me go to an oil-based egg carton, you know what I'm saying? And those are the kinds of, in addition to SKU numbers, barcodes, $3 million worth of liability insurance coverage. What happens is that you, the nature of the beast so changes the market, the whole relationship, and what I call the chain of custody of the product, that relationally oriented transparency that we're trying to preserve gets messed up inherently. And so where I am is, you know, the modern era supermarket as we know it is really new in our culture. I mean, it didn't even exist 50 years ago, okay? And the notion that a supermarket is the way to get food, you know, sometimes I want to go out to, you know, Times Square and jump up on the sidewalk and scream to the world, "This ain't normal!" You know, we're the first civilization in history that thinks that we can live this disassociated, disrelationally disconnected from our ecological umbilical. I mean, we can go build a house with material we don't know where it came from, powered with energy that we don't know where it came from, get food from places we don't know where it came from, get water from a source we don't know where it comes from, send our sewage down a pipe to go someplace we don't know where it goes. I mean, we can live our whole life that completely disassociated from the environmental womb that we're all dependent on. And that's abnormal. It's abnormal to eat things that you can't pronounce. It's abnormal to eat things that we can't make in our kitchens. Ever try making corn syrup? You know, or some of those long multisyllabic, you know, monoglyceride, triglyceride, what? I mean, how do you make this stuff? You can't make it in your kitchen. And so we have to understand, and I'm answering the question, I hope, that the supermarket as we know it, the supermarket as we know it is civilizationally, historically, anthropologically a blip on the screen of human history. We are experimenting on a massive scale with something that's never been done before. I mean, you know, back 500 years ago, yeah, there was a spice trade, but how much are spices part of our diet? In other words, and I'm there in Virginia, you know, near Williamsburg. You go visit Williamsburg, I mean, all homesteads were a self-contained, even urban people had gardens. And so, so what I'm trying to get to is that I think that the notion of, well, if we're really going to have an authentic food system, we've got to figure out how to worm our way into the supermarket. My problem is I don't see the supermarket model as a viable transparency system, as a system that actually allows for it. Because what happens is, as soon as I take my, you know, June tomatoes, well, then the big broker from Mexico or Peru gets on the phone and tells Kroger's or Albertsons or whatever, if you take those tomatoes from him and stop buying from us in June, we won't supply the rest of the year. What's the supermarket going to do? Those are the realities of business. And so all I'm saying is that the supermarket system, I think, is fundamentally a flawed system if we're going to have an authentic food system. And I'm not here saying we should legislate away supermarkets and it should be illegal to have a supermarket. Don't trust, you know. All I'm suggesting is that it's not my shtick to try to figure out how to worm my way into a supermarket, because I see it as fundamentally part of the problem. Yes.
Sorry, I want to go ahead and just give a couple closing remarks, just to give people opportunity. We're fairly short.
Are we fairly short?
Give people opportunity. If many people bring books that want signed and that type of thing.
Okay.
So give Joel a little bit of time to do that, and then we'd also like to invite you all. There are still some tickets available for the event tonight. It's on 57th